Hey guys, what's going on? So today we're going to be doing a video that's a little bit different from the kind of stuff that I normally do. So basically today we're going to be narrowing down my top 10 favorite video games of all time. Now on this list, this is just a favorite list. It's not really like a best list. So I'm not saying these are like necessarily the best games out there, but they're just my favorites from just my childhood, from what I play. And basically they make it onto this list if they don't just make it on for nostalgia. If they're on here for a game that I played when I was younger, they have to hold up well, because otherwise they wouldn't really deserve to be on this list. But a lot of the stuff is on here mainly because of the fond memories I have. But it has to still be a good game too. So anyways, let's get on to the countdown with number 10. Alright, so number 10 on this list is New Super Mario Bros. Wii. And the main reason this game is on this list is because of nostalgia. Like, I played this game obsessively when I was younger. It was ridiculous how much I played it. I never got to this level though that you're seeing right here. I had to... A lot of these games, if they're not on PC, I have to find a recording elsewhere, like on the internet. But I did play it, trust me. So, anyways, the main reason that this is on the list, again, is because of nostalgia, but also it's pretty fun to replay. And on replay, I found that I can actually do most of the stuff I wasn't able to when I was younger. Like, when I was younger, I always played it with when my babysitter was there, because my babysitter was, like, really good at these games, and I was terrible and couldn't even pass the second level. But anyways, they're fun to come back to. They were fun back then, and it's just a great game overall. Even if it's not too different, like if it's not super original, it's the Mario game that I grew up with, so that's why this game in particular is on this list. Alright, well, so I decided to include the Imperial March right here just because why not? I'm trying to add some music from the games or whatever, so that's why I'm doing that. But the reason that LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga gets the #1 spot is again because of nostalgia. I know I said I wouldn't do it just because of nostalgia, and that is true, because that's still true, because upon replaying LEGO Star Wars, it's still a fun experience. It's really not a very challenging game, unless you count the level where the Mustafar level, like where on the lava planet. That one is really difficult because it keeps setting you back. But other than that, it's a pretty easy game. But I can go back and still have fun with it and remember how when I was younger I thought it was the best thing in the world. So it's a nice thing to be able to go back to just go back and remember how much you enjoyed it. And you know, it's fun. It would set the stage for LEGO games later that would be a little bit better, but I mean, LEGO games have stayed pretty similar, let's be honest. But yeah, not really much to add about this one. It's just fun childhood game that I can still enjoy to this day if I fire up the Wii and just decide to play it a little bit. And yeah, that's why LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga gets the #9 spot. Alright, so now we're getting on to the games that the more recent games, I guess, that I play. So this is Halo's 2, 3, and 4. And the reason I included these ones were because these are the ones that I play. I never technically owned Halo 2, my friend owned it, but that's like the game we always played. 3 and 4 I own, and a lot of times we'll play it at my house, and they're just super fun games to play with friends. I haven't gotten super into the campaigns of these games yet, just since I hadn't been playing since the first one, and they're really hard to follow if you can't like latch onto them from if you haven't been following since the beginning. So what I'm planning on doing, I'm gonna get the Master Chief Collection when it comes out on PC, and I've heard the campaigns are really good, and what I've played of them are really good. I couldn't get as much out of them as most people since I hadn't played Halo 1. Or the campaign of Halo 1 at least. I played a bit of the multiplayer. But anyways, really that's the main reason that Halo is on this list, is because it's just a fun game that I have fun memories of and that I still play to this day. And yeah, it's just, don't really have that much more to say about Halo. It's Halo and it's awesome. Well, you guys knew I had to put this game on the list because I was a kid who grew up in the early 2010s, so I just had to be here. Minecraft is obviously the number 7 spot on this list. Now, technically my title thing isn't correct because I said Mojang 2009, and when Minecraft was released, it wasn't technically, Mojang didn't really exist, because notch. Anyways, that's not really important for this, but anyways, Minecraft was like the first computer game I played, the first game I played with my friends, and now I'm starting to go back to it now that, like, it's becoming unironically popular again, which I'm glad about. Just since this was a game that I grew up with, and I am so glad to see the newer generations that they get to grow up with a game as amazing as Minecraft, because it's really, I'm getting, like, I was talking to one of my friends about Minecraft one time, in English, a few of my friends, and one of them actually got, like, kind of misty, because of all of, like, the fond memories they had as a kid playing this game. I mean, if you grew up at the same time as I did, you definitely were playing Minecraft at some point or another. And that's kind of, that's one of the things that I love about it, you know. It's such an iconic game. It's new, it's original. No one had really done, I mean, there were games kind of like Minecraft before it existed, but no one had really done it to the extent that Minecraft had done it, and no one else had such a big cultural influence. And, you know, I could go on, I could talk about this game all day, but we have other games to cover, other games that I guess I like more, I'm not really sure, but anyways, yeah, that's why Minecraft is on gets the number 7 spot on this list. So this is hands down my favorite Nintendo game. Super Smash Bros. Brawl, in particular, is on this list, just because it's the one that I played. I know I do this a little bit too much, but that is really the reason that this game in particular is on the list. Now, a lot of people will argue it's the worst Super Smash Bros. Game, and there might be some truth to that. I haven't played all the other ones. I played Ultimate, I played the Wii U version, I played the original, and in some ways this is the weakest entry, but I love playing this. This is a game my entire, like, members of my extended family will come together and play this. I introduced it to my little cousin, he absolutely loved it, and in the end, I love to play it. I'm pretty good at it, and even if it is the weakest entry, it's still great to me. And in the story mode, they managed to tell such a great story without even having any dialogue at all. Like, it's literally just, it's all just them going, and they do that in LEGO games too, but the difference is, in Lego games, they're usually telling a story that already exists. Like Star Wars, that's already a story that already exists. This is a completely new story that they're creating out of virtually nothing. And I'm sorry there's not as much gameplay on this video. Gameplay is really hard to find. It's just someone selecting the stages. But I just love Super Smash Bros. It's a great game, and the time I've spent on it was time that I would never give back. So that is why Super Smash Bros. Brawl gets the number 6 spot on our list. Alright, so you guys are gonna get mad at me for putting a Call of Duty game on the list, but I'm gonna do it. And sorry, no music for this one, just because I feel like Black Ops 2 doesn't have super iconic music. The next one does, though. The next one on this list does have a really good iconic score, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But the reason Black Ops 2 is on this list is because it has probably the strongest campaign in the Call of Duty franchise. And by the strongest campaign, I mean it has a campaign that you can actually pick the endings, so it has lots and lots of replay value. It's also a satisfying sequel to Black Ops 1, so it actually continues the story. It brings the story to new places. Their idea to split the campaign between the 1980s and the 2020s, something like that, it would have been very easy to do that wrong, but in this game they did it right because it sort of intertwined the stories of sort of Alex Mason and David Mason. It kind of put them together, and it gave us a more immediate sequel to Black Ops 2, or Black Ops 1, and then it gave us sort of a long-term sequel that took place in sort of a modern future. Now, do I think the modern future is very realistic? Like, will we have all of that stuff by 2025? Probably not. But the story, unlike Black Ops 3, does not rely on technology. Now, I've talked about Black Ops 3 once in the past, I think, and I like the game, but the campaign is just awful. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The campaign of Black Ops 3 is awful. Sorry. And also, the multiplayer is enjoyable. With the score streaks, it actually encourages you to play the objective instead of just kill people, which is always good. That's one of the faults with Modern Warfare 2, a game we'll talk about in a moment. But that's all I really have to say about Black Ops 2. It's great. Great sequel to Black Ops 1. One of the last, many people would consider like the last good Call of Duty game. I don't think it's the last good one necessarily, but it's one of the last, I guess, original ones. So, yeah, that's all I really have to say about this game. And that is why it makes the number 5 spot on our list. Yeah, sorry I put another Call of Duty game on here. Sorry, the franchise just has a lot of games in it, but Modern Warfare 2 deserves to be on the list just as much as even something like Minecraft, because it's just such a great game and is by far my favorite out of all of the Call of Duty games because of the campaign and the multiplayer this time. Now, the campaign was like the main reason that I liked BO2, but for this game, it was also because of the multiplayer, which I've just played more. I haven't played as much of the Black Ops 2 multiplayer, but also, so the campaign, of course, continues the story of Soap and of Captain Price, and this time Russia invades the United States because of a terrorist attack that was covered up, and there ends up being a twist villain. That's just kind of some of the things that happen. And the multiplayer is a ton of fun, although score streaks were not yet implemented. And also, like, it's a ton of fun to grind. It's one of the games that I don't really have a problem with grinding. Like, I actually kind of enjoy grinding the multiplayer. And of course, it has the amazing score that I'm playing for you in the background, written by Hans Zimmer, who is someone who, he does movie scores. He's done, like, I can't remember what he's done off the top of my head, but just look up Hans Zimmer. He's done stuff for a lot of really famous movies, and he decided to do Modern Warfare as well, and he did an amazing job on the score. So that's one of the reasons this game is so great. It has such a great score, great multiplayer, great campaign. Spec Ops was okay, but it would be improved on in Modern Warfare 3. But this game kind of allowed for that to happen. But anyways, that is why Modern Warfare 2 gets the number 4 spot on this list. And number 3 on this list is Battlefield 1. Now, this is, again, really one of the only Battlefield games I've ever played, except with Battlefield 5 a little bit. But this makes it onto the list because it's super fun, and because it goes someplace that really no AAA game has gone before. There haven't really been very many World War I games, except for like Verdun and Tannenberg, which I played a little bit of Verdun. I did not really like it. But in addition to World War I, they also have some levels from the Russian Civil War, which happened shortly after, and also the operations are a ton of fun. I almost exclusively play operations, although I do play some of the other modes as well, and I just can't get bored of operations. It's that much fun. And in addition to that, the war stories are great. The thing is, it's sort of a double-edged sword because, you know, you get attached to a lot of the characters and stories there, but you only get to be experiencing their stories for a brief time. So that can be a little bit frustrating, but in the end, it's supposed to be kind of short and sweet, and there's no real villain either. The villain is just kind of war, and it's just people getting caught up in war. And this game it doesn't really glorify World War I, it just kind of shows you what it was like, and it shows you the scale that it was fought on, and how no one had really seen that before at the time. So that is really why Battlefield 1 gets the number 3 spot on our list. So, if you're one of my close friends, you know that I love this game to death, and you knew it would be on the list, or these games. So this is Wolfenstein: The New Order, and Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus. I've not played the Old Blood yet, because I just haven't, had the money to buy it, basically. And the reason I like these games is, first and foremost, I'll talk about the gameplay. The gameplay is great. It's a lot of fun to basically fight through hordes of Nazis, and their futuristic weapons are really fun to use, and upgrading them is fun. When it comes to upgrades, this is why I like the first game just a little bit more. I just prefer finding the upgrades on the map to, getting the stuff and upgrading yourself. I don't know, I prefer, finding the upgrades. It encourages you to explore the map a little bit more. increases replay value. But now I'll talk about the story, which is another just great thing about this game. So, in the beginning you play as Captain William Joseph Blazkowicz of the U.S. Army. It's 1946 and World War II hasn't quite wrapped up yet, because in this universe, Germany has gotten the upper hand because of this technology that they gained. However, the Allies, Britain, USA, and Soviet Union are still convinced that they can win the war because of their, I guess, grit, which is, a very Winston Churchill thing, you got to admire that. But when trying to capture Death's Head, top Nazi general, B.J. Blazkowicz takes shrapnel to the head and is in a coma for 14 years. Kind of like a darker version of Captain America, because when he wakes to a world that is dominated by the Third Reich, and he joins the resistance movement to try to stop it. The first game takes place in Europe, mostly England and Germany, and the second game takes place in America. Now, there are some other smaller plot points that kind of give the story more meaning and give BJ's character more meaning. For instance, at the beginning of the second game, you learn about his father, who was not a very nice guy. He was very, I guess, he held a lot of the same views, I'm just going to say, that the Nazis did. So it kind of gives you this idea. It's like, yeah, obviously everyone hates Nazis. Who doesn't? But why this fight is more of a personal thing for B.J. Blazkowicz, rather than just, honoring America. But I could go on and on about this game all day. I just love it. I love the story. I love, the message behind it of, keep on fighting for what you believe in and everything. And I love alt history, so, this is I love sci-fi too, so this is my game, even though there is one that is higher up on the list, and I'll explain why. But for that reason, Wolfenstein gets the number 2 spot on this list. Well, here we go, guys. The number 1 spot is Counter-Strike Global Offensive. Now, this is a gameplay of, this is me and my friends just messing around on custom, and that's one of my favorite parts of this game. There's just infinite custom games you can play. One of the reasons I like this game is because your character doesn't get better, you get better. So all the grind is skill-based. It's a ton of fun to play with friends. Even when you're just messing around with bots, it's fun, Competitive takes a while to play, but I still love to do it, and this is again one of the first games I played with friends, and I just play it so often. It had to be number 1. It's one of the games I've stuck with for a really long time, and they added a Battle Royale mode and it went free to play, and a lot of people are like, oh, this game is bad now. But it's still great, it's still... You still can't really say that it's a bad game, in my opinion, because I think it's still a great game. It always has been a great game, and I think it always will be a great game. And maybe Valve will make a 4th Counter-Strike game, maybe they won't, but we're always going to have this game. And you know, I could talk about CSGO all day, but again, this video is already way too long. So that is why Counter-Strike Global Offensive is my all-time favorite video game. Alright guys, we're finally at the end of the video. God, I worked for like 3 days on this video. I really hope it turns out well. I really hope you guys like it. So if you could hit the like button, that would be great. This video was actually one of the hardest videos to make because it's just so difficult to decide what my favorite games are. And I wanted to go deeper in with the honorable mentions thing, but this video was already too long, and I don't like my videos to be too long because I want them to be easy to digest for you guys. So I am really sorry about that. But anyways, let me know what games you guys like, what games you think I should have included. I mean, again, this is just my favorite list, but feel absolutely free to tell me why I'm wrong in the comments. And please hit the like button, and if you think I did a bad job, please tell me why, because I really want to improve on my videos and make them better and better. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.